Hey everyone, this is Lisa from Life in Layouts, and today I'm going to be using the sketches for the 4x6 photos only. This is a sketchbook from Scrapbook Generation. I also pulled out Bella Boulevard's Wish Big collection kit. This is super old. I'm going to be doing some birthday photos of a friend's son's birthday. I'm just going to preface this video with the fact at this current moment, strips and stitching are my thing. When I picked out this sketch to go with these photos, I didn't think about the fact that I had just done a sketch that was very similar to this for the hop that I am doing monthly with Nicole. It almost looks exactly alike. But at the end of the day, this is my jam right now, and I am loving strips of paper and stitching on those papers. So I'm just going with it. Right now I'm looking through the collection and I'm going to pull out the B-sides of the collection that are going to work with these papers. I first started out with that navy paper and it has music notes on it. Then I pulled out the yellow paper that has tone-on-tone stars. Then there's the green linen paper, the gray paper that has like white squiggly lines on it, and then the teal tone-on-tone polka dotted paper. I'm looking through the cut apart cards to see what will work with the photos because the sketch actually calls for 3 photos on the left. I only had 2 photos for the left hand side. I have 3 photos on the right. And the reason I was looking through that was because I wanted to cut out the back of the paper with the polka dots. So I wanted to make sure that if I was going to use one of those cards, I wasn't going to cut the card by mistake. So I do end up cutting the polka dotted paper to bring in all of the colors. I loved this number paper and I wish I would have thought it through more because this number paper would have worked better if the strips were going in the opposite direction. But when I cut it out, the only numbers that I got were 1, 2, 6, and 7. So then I was like, well, maybe I can pull out the number of his age. So I looked at the photos and that was the number 3, but it still didn't look right because then I would have 3, 4, 8 and another number. So I nixed the number paper altogether and went with the candle paper as my additional paper that had all the colors. So I did not have enough strips and I did not want to repeat the strips. So I ended up pulling out the Doodlebug Petite Prints in Tangerine. I used the gingham for that. And then the cherry, I'm going to use the grid paper for that one. So I go ahead and cut both of those down for my strips. All of my strips are 1 inch long. So now I'm just organizing these strips, trying to figure out which order I want them in. I also have the 1/4 inch strip that is going to end up on the right hand side of the layout, but I have it there just to make sure that the colors don't clash with the 1/4 inch strip once I get it down. So I pull out my white cardstock. This white cardstock actually came from the crop that I attend monthly. They have a free table and I picked up quite a few pieces of paper that go to collections that I already have. The people will bring in like lots of older stuff. And so I'll look through it and be like, oh, I have this collection at home and it'll have like embellishment pieces that maybe I didn't have. So I'll add to it. But somebody had white textured cardstock on there. There was like 4 sheets of it. I was like, I'm never going to turn down white cardstock. So you'll see a couple of those in my layouts. I wanted to use this happy birthday paper. Here is my dilemma. I love these busy papers, but they just don't work for my layouts and adding tons of photos to my layouts. So that happy birthday paper stays there for a little bit, but then it's gone. I end up adding the cherry linen paper from the Doodlebug Petite Prints. Once I got that all down, then I decided that I needed to cut my strips down to 10.5 inches. And then I used my banner strip to add a banner to the top and bottom. So the strips end up being 10 inches, but I had to cut it down to 10.5 inches so that I had enough room when the banner punch cut off the little banner pieces. So my strips of paper end up being 10 inches with the banner pieces. You can see I'm using my phone there to make sure that I have the strips lined up like I had it originally, since I really liked the way that that turned out. I end up using my Tim Holtz Distress ink in Faded Jeans to ink up all of the edges. And that really does bring all of the strips together by having the inked edges. Of course, I also ink up the cherry linen paper on the right hand side. So as I'm getting the papers down, let's just talk a little bit about the photos. These photos are of my friend's son's 3rd birthday party. He had a birthday party at his house, and it was Forky theme. So from Toy Story 4, I think Forky was from 4. It was a super cute birthday. We actually were able to build our own Forky. Like, it was a Forky kit that she had. So it had forks and then googly eyes, some pipe cleaners, some popsicle sticks, and you were able to just recreate your little Forky. And of course, I also got pictures of him and myself, and then I got a picture of him with his mom opening up one of his presents. And then for the left-hand side of the layouts, once I get these border strips down, there's going to be a photo of him eating his Forky birthday cake, as well as him with his little Forky creation that he made. As I'm laying these banner strips down, what I'm doing is definitely following this sketch. Some of the banner strips are overlapping, and then some of them are spaced out just a little bit. I decided to make the space between them about 1/8 of an inch. So the strips that have the spacing are 1/8 of an inch, and then the ones that are actually overlapping are also about 1/8 of an inch. So they overlap 1/8 of an inch, or they are spread out about 1/8 of an inch. Once I got the 2 photos down, then I thought, well, maybe instead of adding a 3rd photo, I'll just go ahead and add a journaling block over there. So I cut down a 4x6 card to match up with the photos there. Now, these photos aren't the true 4x6, they're like the true photos. So the card that I used to cut down, I just measured it up to the size of the photos so that it all lines up on the left-hand side. The photo of myself and the birthday boy on the right hand side of the layout, I decided to back on white cardstock just to give it a little bit of emphasis and really focus in on that, because I love that photo of the 2 of us. I also decided that that photo should probably be up on fun foam. So I add fun foam to it and then overlap it with the 2 other photos that are flat to the layout. And of course, having to bring out my T-square ruler to make sure that it is straight. Once I get the right-hand side of the photos down, I'll go ahead and start working on the left-hand side. I have this pack of 4x6 Project Life cards from Becky Higgins, and the pack is called Ledger Cards. So it's like all different types of ledger paper. And this particular card had a little design at the top, like a little square that maybe you could write the date on it. But because I had to cut it down to fit on my layout, it just looked awkward. So I looked through the embellishments that came with the kit, couldn't find anything. Looked through my embellishment book, and I found a branding strip that I had cut off, but it was too big. So then I was like, oh, maybe I can use the branding strip from this collection, which says Wish Big. So that's what I ended up doing. I cut down the branding strip from one of the papers that I had already cut off. Then I used my banner punch to punch a banner piece on one side of it, and then cut it down just a little bit more because it was still too long, recut the banner strip, and then added it over that. And I love the way that that came together. Sometimes it's like you're trying to cover something up. Maybe it was a mistake or something that was on a card that you don't like, and it comes out better than you can ever imagine. Do you guys have a time when that has happened to you where you're trying to cover something up and you're like, oh, I'm kind of glad I made that mistake because it looks really good now? I did use a pencil to mark where the photo and journaling card were going to be on the layout so that I did not have to stitch in that area. Then I added stitching to 5 of the strips of paper. Not all of the strips have stitching, so I added it to the navy, the gray, the red, the candles, the orange, and the blue. I did decide to add each one of my photos as well as the journaling block up on fun foam. And then I'm going to go ahead and adhere the photos down to the left-hand side of the layout. I decided to go ahead and pull out my embellishment books because I wasn't really enjoying the embellishments that came with it. This collection only came with a 6x12 sheet of stickers. I'm sure that when the collection came out, there were other embellishment pieces that you could purchase, and that was before I started buying all of the collections, so I definitely had to pull in from my stash. I really liked that Happy, but it is way too big. Then I found these thickers that are all different colors, and the colors don't match exactly, but I like the whimsical look of that word birthday, as well as with like the dots on it. It almost looks like it's a sign that has like little tiny light bulbs on it. So I really like that look, and I decided to add the word birthday in the thickers. And then I did find this yellow tag that says happy from the sticker sheet from the collection, so I just added that right above the word birthday, and I like that contrast of the smaller happy with the larger birthday. The cut apart sheet has 2x2 squares, so I go ahead and cut out one that says and many more. So my title is Happy Birthday and Many More, with the 2x2 square going underneath the photo on the right hand side, and I do put that up on fun foam. I had to pull out my distress ink to ink the edge of that. And then I found a sticker with a little cupcake on it, so I added that right next to the and many more. And of course, having to add the fun foam directly to the layout so that it would lay properly, since there were fun foam on the card as well as the photo. And sometimes I struggle with trying to get the fun foam down directly on the layout so that it doesn't show outside of the embellishment piece. I did also put the happy birthday up on fun foam and inked up those edges. And then using my glue press to make sure that the word birthday is adhered down, since we all know that thickers sometimes have an issue with sticking. Then I decided to pull out a 2x2 sticker that says Wish Big and added that to the top. So now I have like really 3 kind of smaller clusters over on the right hand side around each one of the photos. I did put the Wish Big up on fun foam. This fun foam that I purchased from Walmart, or actually my mom got for me, it's not sticking very well. I'm having to use a lot of a liquid adhesive on that fun foam, which I've never had an issue with before. I decided to pull out my color boxes in white because I had that cherry red background, so I thought the white would really stand out. I did pull some hearts that are sparkly and added that to the clusters, and then I decided to pull out my color boxes in yellow, green, and my neutrals, and I added some hearts as well as enamel shapes, and then I also pulled out some orange like jewel diamond-y pieces and added those to each of the clusters as well. And then again, of course, using my glue press to get them all down. Once I get that down, I am going to start working on my journaling. I did write my journaling off camera so that I could make sure that I would have the correct space. So my journaling says, JP's 3rd birthday bash was a blast. Decked out in Toy Story vibes with Forky stealing the spotlight. We even crafted our very own Forky creation. Talk about a wild and creative time. And let's not forget the classic combo of cake and presents to top it all off. And then I used my roller date stamp to add the date. I had a little bit of space left over on that card, so I'm looking through my embellishment books and I do end up finding a cupcake to add to that section to kind of just fill it in. And then that is it for this video. Here is my final layout as well as some close-ups. If you enjoyed this video, if you wouldn't mind giving me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you haven't done so already and you want to see more double page layout inspiration, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thanks everyone for watching, and I hope that you have a scrappy day.